Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Rodney, and I'm back, and I wanted to come in and run my mouth and talk about the mess. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get into it. So, this is according to the neighborhood talk. Ari Lennox says Martin jokes about Pam's looks bothered her, especially growing up as a chocolate girl. There are some things where I draw the line. Neighbors, this is interesting. Ari Lennox was sharing her thoughts with her followers when she landed on the topic of one of the biggest shows of the 90s, Martin. Ari said though she adored the show, she did take issue with how Pam looks were constantly being made fun of in Martin's jokes. She says she loves joking ASS movies and just isn't seriously necessarily too woke to laugh at things, but does have a line. Ari says, I'm going to play the audio of Ari speaking. Ari says she loves the actors from the show, but that specific thing always bothered her. Since her live, the conversation has spilled over into X, with some users agreeing with others stating the times were just different and people are too sensitive now. Do y'all ever share the same feelings? All right, let's go. Let me go ahead and play the audio of Ari talking, and then I will give, of course, girl, give my commentary and get some stuff off of my chest.
The thing that pissed me off about Martin was how much he would go on Pam. Like, I know, like, and this is coming from a girl who I love me a good, like, joking ass movie. And even when the joking movie is like, damn, like, that was fucked up. Like, I'm not like too woke or something is what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm honestly not, I'm problematic. I'm pretty problematic, low key. But my point is that there are some things where I draw the line and it just bothered me. Or like, I don't know. It's like Pam was so fucking beautiful and so fine. And I just feel like growing up as a chocolate girl, like, I don't even know if I was able to understand the greatness of Pam because of the light that I feel like I was being fed. You know what I'm saying? Like, of just like always going on Pam, always, like, that's all I remember. And I didn't like that. But like, so I feel conflicted because while I feel like the show is incredible and I feel like Martin is a legendary show and all of the actors and Tommy and like everybody, like, legendary, amazing, like, I adore them all. Like, you have no idea. And I adore Martin. Like, I adore him. It just would piss me off. Like, the joking on Pam. I just didn't like that, Like, I'll always kind of feel a way about that.
You know, this kind of reminds me of America's Next Top Model, where once upon a time, for those who don't know, Tyra Banks had a show called America's Next Top Model. It went on for a very long time. At one point, it was probably one of the biggest shows or reality shows on television. Everybody would watch America's Next Top Model. We all thought that we were on the judges panel. We all thought that we were experts in the modeling field. And then a few years ago, things start to come out, conversations start to happen, interviews started being held about how toxic and how inappropriate some of the photo shoots would be, how toxic the environment was. And it just started a conversation about how we were all glued to our televisions once upon a time, and nobody ever really thought. And if you did think about it, it just was one of those things that probably just came in and went out, right? Tyra, the crew had those models sometimes doing some of the craziest stuff, okay? Like blackface, chopping their hair off, like it was absolutely insane. But at the time, the conversations were not necessarily being held because I don't think that we really had a problem with it. I think looking back now, you start to realize how some of those things were definitely problematic, okay? And America's Next Top Model would not be able to exist in 2025, especially doing some of the things that they did back in the day. So that brings me, of course, to what we're here to talk about, which is Martin. I don't think it's fair when it comes to Ari and her feelings to automatically dismiss what she's saying because you don't agree. One of the issues that I personally have, and one of the things that I have seen that happens, especially with Black people, is that we can call on racism. We will call out somebody for being a racist if they, girl, you're racist. We can spot racism. We can call it out. We can see it from a mile away. We can smell it. This don't smell right. But when it comes to conversations surrounding colorism and the treatment of brown skinned, darker skinned folk, the conversation, it starts to like, when it's racism, it's like we can be one band, one sound. We know exactly what that person meant. We know exactly what they did, and it was racist. When people start to have conversations about colorism, girl, it's almost like, what are you talking about that doesn't exist? I don't think that feelings equal facts, but it's still someone's feelings. As I've gotten older, you know, I'm a man of a particular age, okay? I'm a man of a particular age. And one thing that I'm working on, and sometimes I fail at it, is not being so quick to dismiss how somebody feels and to try and hear that person out and not be so quick to be like, girl, shut up. Girl, shut up, you sound stupid. Nigga, shut up. You're just talking. Ain't nothing happened. Listening to people and hearing them out. This is how Ari feels. I think that when I think about Martin and the things that happen on that show, while I can't necessarily just say 100% that it's colorism, I can 100% say that when we start to think about certain things, I can see how people could point out it in that direction. Okay? I sound like Giselle. The fact of the matter is, well, I'm not gonna say fact. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. There were jokes made about people on the show. Tommy didn't have a job. Cole was dumb as hell. Gina had a big head. Martin had big ears. You know the crazy thing about this conversation is that I promised to God, I was having a conversation. I forgot who it was. I think it was one of my friends, or either I saw this conversation being had. I can't remember if I was participating in the conversation, if I saw the conversation being had via social media. But it's so crazy because I remember Pam coming up in conversations on Martin and how it was absolutely insane that Pam was joked about as being ugly, looking like a dog, being unattractive, when Pam was fly as hell, gorgeous as hell, bodied down. You know what I'm saying? But based off of the jokes that Martin would have, you would think by hearing that this woman was unattractive. Now, maybe Gina was referred to as a dog and Beady Bead. I don't remember. Maybe she was referred to as an animal. I don't remember. I definitely remember Pam being referred to as an animal. So I do think it's a tad bit unfair that when we listen to Ari and why she feels the way that she feels, that people automatically dismiss it as, oh, it's just jokes. No one said anything about her skin complexion. I tell y'all, Black people get confused when it's about colorism. I just want to say something very clear. Colorism is not about someone saying something about your skin complexion. It's about the treatment towards you due to your skin complexion. A person does not have to come out. A non-Black person does not have to come out and just call you a nigger with a hard ER for it to be classified as racism. their actions towards you could be racist. A person doesn't have to come out and say they're misogynistic or sexist for you to know that they're misogynistic or sexist. So for one of the talking points that I've seen run like wildfire on Twitter is, well, he never even said nothing about her skin complexion. Sweetie, he doesn't have to. I'm not saying that it was colorism 100% again, but I'm also not going to dismiss it, because when I think about the things that happened on that show, it was very problematic. And for other people to automatically just dismiss it because you think it's going to ruin what you have of your childhood memory, I think it's dangerous. I think Ari feels the way that she feels. And I think that her feelings are her feelings. And I think that they shouldn't be so quick to be dismissed because you don't see the colorism, baby. And some real shit y'all niggas never do. Instead of being so quick to dismiss what Ari said, try and have some understanding. Think about the things that were shown on Martin. Think about the things that were said. Instead of just saying, Ari, girl, shut up, you're just too sensitive. You know, when people don't want to hear what you have to say, they shut you down and say, oh, girl, you're just too sensitive. Y'all are just so sensitive in 2025. We weren't that sensitive back in the day. I do think that men and women of a darker skin tone can and will experience colorism. We know that. I believe that it can affect women. I'm just gonna speak about black women because that's the community. I'm black. I do believe that it can affect black women more than black like me. I definitely believe that I can have experienced colorism, but I do believe that for a black woman, it will probably be worse, and the experience, of course, will be completely different. I do understand how an Ari Lennox could feel away. When you look at Pam, you see, and I know this is the thing, and I'm glad Ari said this. Believe it or not, as sensitive as I am, I'm really not sensitive to the point where I understood Ari 100%. Girl, I'm probably more problematic than anything. Okay? I'm sensitive not to necessarily jokes. You know what I'm saying? I'm not necessarily sensitive. If I feel like everybody is getting tapped on, then it doesn't really rub me the wrong way. I feel like I can spot when there's a difference in the jokes, right? It's one thing for you to just make jokes about the punks, but everybody else is off limits. Then I'm looking at you like, girl, why are your jokes about the gays? It's one thing for your jokes to always be about, this group, but everybody else is off limits. Well, why are you just making group jokes about this group? But when you make jokes evenly across the board, it's kind of like, oh, they tapping on everybody. But I do believe that I can understand how Ari, who is a woman, a brown-skinned, darker complected woman, could see this woman, Pam, who's on this television show, and Pam is fly, she's pretty as hell, she's smart, right? Body banging, but then the joke is, girl, woof, woof, you're a dog. Or beady bead. I can see how that could play with someone's mind, because we're not gonna act like they're already darker skin, brown, even if you don't want to consider Pam, what's her name, Tashina Arnold, a dark-skinned woman. We're not going to pretend that there were women of that complexion who were looked as sexy, as pretty girls, as sex symbols. So when you finally see one who is a pretty girl and they're still referred to as an animal, I can see how that could play on someone's mind. And that's what I mean, that's what I mean by people are so quick to dismiss someone's feelings instead of trying to understand. Oh, I can see maybe how they feel that way. Or no, I don't necessarily understand right now. Maybe I can. Or no, I don't get it. But if that's how they feel, that's how they feel. Y'all are so worried about someone ruining your favorite show from the 90s that you're refusing to accept that, girl, this is how this woman feels. Like, you can't even just sit down and just be still and just think about why she feels the way that she feels. It's just an automatic, bitch, ain't nothing wrong with you. Girl, that was no colorism. Shut up. Girl, you just sensitive. Girl, that didn't happen. Of course, Tashina Arnold is not going to come out and say anything because, girl, that's her baby. She was one of the stars of the show. What do you think Tashina Arnold is really going to come out and say about Martin? I just think that, these conversations are important to have. I think that when it comes to colorism, whether you agree or not, it's real. It exists. Black people, like I said, girl, we can point out, we can literally smell racism, girl, 10 miles away, girl, 3 houses down the block, around the corner, girl, the grocery store next door, girl, we can see it, girl, from behind us. But baby, when people start having conversations about colorism, when I tell you people will run and don't want to hear it, it's the weirdest thing to me. It really, really is. I just think that it's important to have these conversations. It is what it is. Shout out to Ari Lennox. Shout out to people who are open to trying to understand how other people feel, not denying someone because when you first hear something, because you don't understand it, that means that it's not true. Just being open and not shutting conversations down, especially conversations about colorism. I get it. Like I said, girl, we all trying to grow. Not all of us, but girl, I'm trying to grow. We're trying to grow. We're trying to evolve. We're trying to be better listeners and be more sensitive to certain conversations. And I know we're probably, me, you, some of us will still have missteps and be like, girl, shut up. I don't want to hear that bullshit. But when you catch yourself, like I said, I can't 100% be like, yeah, girl, the whole show was colorist. No, I can't necessarily say that. But I'm not going to deny that, girl, when I think about some of the things that happened on that show, girl, it wasn't problematic. And I'm not going to deny Ari's feelings. And I'm not going to deny other people, especially Black women, women of a certain skin tone who may feel the same way, that, girl, your feelings don't count. Or what you saw or what you probably felt while watching this show, it doesn't matter. And, girl, that feeling is wrong. No. Because I can definitely 100% understand why they feel the way that they feel. Anyways, all right, y'all, I'm gone. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I'm about to have me a cocktail, and I'm about to watch Sinners. Okay, I've been trying to watch Sinners since I got back from New York. And I will talk to y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a good night. Bye, y'all.